Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shane Willis, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode. Seems like as soon as I walked out here, all the lawn people just fired up their lawn equipment. Good morning, George. My co-host is saying good morning. This bird is always sitting here. I was cracking up yesterday because it was like yesterday evening I went for a walk and the bird was there too. Anyways, hope you had a good Mother's Day. I had a fairly good one. You had a chance to. My wife had to work a little in the morning. She works in the floral business, and Mother's Day is the biggest day of the year for them, only followed by Valentine's Day. I thought that would be backwards, but it wasn't. So she had to work a little bit in the morning to wrap things up. I've been putting in a long week. Then we got a chance to go spend some time with my mother-in-law, my wife and my mother-in-law. Then after we left there, my wife and I had a chance to spend a couple hours together, and then caught up with my mother, had a nice dinner, got out to the Sand Shaker at Pensacola Beach, caught up with some friends. So it was a good Mother's Day. I hope you had the same. Hope that little thunderstorm that popped up yesterday out of nowhere, where I seen my wife and I, when we went out, before we caught up with Mom, we went out to the Orr House, was sitting down and having a cocktail, and it was funny, that's when that thunderstorm popped up, and boy, you just seen the boats flying in. And I was chuckling at some of the deckhands just racing to try and get some stuff done. I didn't see any lightning, but boy, it was what Forrest Gump called the big old fat rain was there. All right, so that's not what we're listening to this podcast to me to talk about my weekend, but it is my podcast, so if I want to spend a few minutes doing it, that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to talk about home ownership rates and how it's affecting a couple of different areas of the real estate market, and have, you may fall into one of these categories. So there was a poet. I was trying to think of that word for some reason. It must be Monday. It was a poet in the late 1800s, Walt Whitman, and he is quoted as saying, "A man is not a whole and complete man unless he owns a house and the ground it stands on." Now, I'm not going to get into the gender specific stuff and of it being a man, and I'm not going to go into all theirs. It was late 1800s, and I'm just quoting what he said. But why did I bring it up? Is because there was a census, and I actually talked about this census. I referenced the census last week. I'm going to put a link into it again today if you want to see the numbers. The census revealed that there's a percentage of home ownerships in America has steadily been climbing back up since hitting a 50-year low in 2016. Home ownership rates have hit 63.6% as opposed to last year's, we're at 64.2, 63.6 was last year's number. So we've climbed a little more again. All right, the chief economist, Dr. Ralph McLaughlin, I wonder if he's Irish, basically put the census numbers into layman's term for us and said the trend's clear. The home ownership rate has been ticking up for 5 consecutive quarters, and the number of new renter households has fallen for 4 consecutive quarters. Owner-occupied households grew by 1.345 million a year ago, while the number of renters actually fell by 286,000. Now, these are national numbers, so that's something we first have to take into consideration. It's just national. I think there are areas here that, let me back up a minute. Why is that important? Why should we even consider that? Well, if you're a seller, understand that a lot of first-time home buyers are out there. It doesn't matter as much to you as long as you get a sales price. But what you do need to understand is we have a lot of rookie agents as well. So there's a lot of people getting into real estate, and then you have them working with a first-time home buyer. Sometimes home inspections can really scare people. We talked about that last week, what to expect in a home inspection, and I knew that this was kind of coming because I've got a couple of seller clients that the buyers are first-time home buyers, and the agents have been in the business 3 months. So this may be one of their first 10 home inspections they've ever seen. Well, when you see the slight condensation built up around the fridge, or the tubing cracked, okay, that's a $5 fix, but a good home inspector is going to put it on there. And sometimes you're first-time home buyers and your agents are going to freak out about that. So if you're a seller, just understand there's a lot of first-time home buyers moving into the market. And so you need to kind of be prepared for that. If you are that first-time home buyer, get a seasoned agent. I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't get into the real estate business, because I want people in it. But we honestly, in my office, we don't hire rookie agents for one reason. Because we want the seasoned agents. And let me take that back. We do hire rookie agents, but we only do it under one condition. That's if you come into an internship program. Internship program is a year long, and you have to work with a seasoned agent. I think that should be required for anybody. If you go to look as an appraiser, an appraiser has to work as an apprentice for a year before he can get his appraiser license. That's true in real estate before you get your broker's license. The problem is you can still sell real estate as an agent with nobody really looking over your shoulder. You have to work for a broker, but they're not looking over your shoulder as much. So pay attention to that. The other aspect of why I wanted to bring this up today was for the investors. As investors, if you hear, well, the number of renters are going down, you may start to freak out. And I know last week as well, I also did an episode on how investing in real estate is probably the number one long-term investment plan. But then you just look, you said, Shane, hey, now you got a report that says it's not going to work. They're going down. That rental numbers are going down. It's not necessarily true. It does mean that, okay, I'm going to give you some shocking news here. Get a pen ready. You're going to want to write this down. There's one aspect of real estate investing that's extremely important. It's location, location, location. You need to look at the demographics. You need to look at why people are renting there. You know, I own quite a few rentals off the back gate of the Naval Air Station. Why do I invest in that area? Well, because I know that tenants are coming in as flight students, and they're going to be here for 18 to 36 months. Some of the instructors come in and only here for 2 years. And some of them could buy. Others of them just don't want to. You know, if you're only going to be here 12 to 18 months, a tenant or a rent makes much more sense. And it probably does. Especially if you're fresh out of college. You're a newly minted ensign, lieutenant, and you just want a place to stay for a little bit before you get your wings, before you actually go on to your final duty station where you'll be staying 4 or 5 years, or 3 or 4 years, whatever. That makes more sense. So location's huge when it comes to rentals. I don't think we're seeing those rental numbers come down here because we still seem to have a huge shortage of both rentals and buying. So I don't see it as much here. These are national numbers I'm giving you on these reports, but there still brings up the points that you need to pay attention. The seller, you need to pay attention. As a buyer, you need to pay attention. As an investor, you need to pay attention. If we continue to see renters drop, then it's going to become more and more important to work with a professional to build that investment portfolio. Because just buying that 2-1 property you can get your hands on because it's cheap may wind up just costing you money. Real estate is a fantastic investment vehicle, but it can cost you a ton of money if you have no expertise and no one coaching you through how to increase that value. Everybody and their brother's cutting their grass this morning. Oh, I see what it, okay. There's literally 3 lawn services that just pulled up within 5 doors of my house, and they're all cutting the grass out here. So I tell you what, we're just going to wrap it up today. That's all I got for you. As always, if you're not subscribed to get the tips, tricks, graphs, infographics that I send out, get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. That's 5minutesinrealestate.com. Also, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, so you get notified when we put new stuff out. We're on iTunes and Google Play. Get over to either one of those, subscribe to the podcast, and hit like. And all the lawnmowers. And finally, if you found any value in this episode or any other episode, I don't ask for money. The only thing I do ask for is that you share it on social media. All right, hope you got something out of that. Have a great Monday. I got to walk through this sea of lawnmowers. Talk to you tomorrow.